it's me again. Today I wanted to do a secondary live because I wanted to be outside of the weight loss challenge. So those who just want to do the weight loss challenge and not be bothered by some of my other thoughts. But there's a story I wanted to share with you, and I thought you'd find it interesting and really wanted to speak to this because there's so many emotions that occur during the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, people coming and going, and maybe you're struggling with a few things, but I wanted to share the story of the burden of carrying grudges and really understanding how mindfulness and letting go should be a really important part of our lives. So the story goes that two monks were returning to the monastery in the evening, and it had rained and there were puddles of water on the roadsides everywhere they looked. And at one place, a beautiful young woman was standing, unable to cross because the puddle was so large. So one of the monks picked her up, carried her across, and then set her down on the other side, and they went on their way. But the other monk was truly troubled. For hours, he was disturbed and finally asked, "We monks don't touch women, so how could you carry her across?" And the monk who carried her across smiled and said, "I left her hours ago on the roadside. Why are you still carrying her?" So the story beautifully encapsulates the mindfulness principle of letting go, right? So it teaches us that holding on to past events, grudges, or worries can burden our minds, preventing us from really being living fully in the present. And mindfulness encourages us to acknowledge experiences and not cling to them. So this allows us to move forward in a more lighter and peaceful mind. So when we think about this in the context of the holidays, there are some emotions that are bubbling up from something that happened in the past. The past is the past. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing we can change. We all have our moments of regret and struggles and, just ruminating on different things. And this gets me back to the exercise I had mentioned a few days ago. And it's around the application of expressive writing. And James Pennebaker, who first started studying this, and I first learned about this from the Huberman Lab, and I've done some deep rabbit hole dives recently. And one of his books is called Opening Up by Writing It Down. And the exercise goes that you write for 15 to 30 minutes over 4 days. They can be consecutive or, let's say, once every week for a month. And you write about something that's troubling you. So maybe there is something that you're holding on to, this tightness in your chest at just certain thought of a certain person or event or struggle or anxiety, something that's very troublesome to you that you haven't been able to really speak to someone else for whatever reasons. Many times we worry about the social impact of sharing something that's truly, personal and something that we might struggle with, especially in today's world of social media and always feeling like you're never measuring up. I really want you to take consideration of self-reflection and using writing as an opportunity to kind of get it all together and helps you assimilate over time what's going on, because all these emotions, there's many things that are very complex about humans. Humans are very complex and difficult animals to understand, as we all know. But getting back to the protocol or the writing, expressive writing, you do this over the 4 days. And what they found is the first day can be really intense. When you're writing free form, just letting it flow, no concerns about grammar or sentence structure, and you're just getting started. Anything that comes up, just start writing. You really want to speak to the facts. You want to talk about your emotions that you felt then and now, and then write about anything else that actually might be related. For example, this monk in the story, he might sit down and write about, he was really upset about this. And he couldn't understand why one of his comrades would pick up a woman when they're not allowed to touch them and carry them across, just let him figure that out. But over the course of 4 days, maybe he would come to accept the fact, and then maybe upon reflection, understand why he did it. Maybe he had learned the lesson of mindfulness. It's hard to say, but I just wanted to help you know that there is a way to at least get started on this. If, of course, there's points where someone needs therapists and help, and many of us will have friends and social support to help us kind of navigate struggles. But if ever you find yourself lonely and struggling, because it's really sad these days, so many of us don't have those close bonds and friends and family that we can rely on. But this might be a great start. So I would encourage you to check out the expressive writing. You write for the 4 days. They do mention that you might feel intensely sad or upset for a few hours after writing this. So you need to be in a state of mind and in a place and time that you can do this and feel safe to feel and work with those emotions and just kind of not fight them, but just kind of turn into them and acknowledge them and just see what happens when you write. If you feel too intense, like it's too hot to touch, just stop writing and do something else. And over the course of 4 days, what they find is that people feel so much relief. They start going from a more negative discussion to a much more positive discussion by the day 4. And I think it's powerful. I'm going to be working with some of my glucose mastermind individuals. We're going to be talking about this because I think it's such an important piece to maybe, relationship with food or people's trauma or struggles. And obviously don't need to get deep into that with people, but just give them another tool to help understand how we can work through the stressors and struggles of daily living as this human on this earth. And anyway, I just felt in my heart of hearts that I needed to share that with you. And I love this stuff, and I hope you find it at least somewhat useful. And thanks for spending time with me today. But this is the last day that we're going to be accepting Glucose Mastermind signups. We start on Tuesday. And so if you were wanting to join the Glucose Mastermind, where I provide a CGM, we meet for 3 hours total each month for 3 months. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We learn a lot and share as a group and here to support each other. So I am happy that you guys are here. I hope the rest of your Saturday is a lovely one, and enjoy your time. Thanks for being here. Bye.